Hey, this is Carwin with Solitude Speaks, and I'm here today to talk to you about the value of intuition and a few things that you can do to strengthen your intuition. Intuition is your sixth sense. Intuition represents a source of wisdom that's hidden within you. Oftentimes, if you are in a situation that is potentially dangerous, but that is giving no external cues of danger, your intuition will make you aware of the fact that you're in danger, and it will encourage you to take action that will help get you out of danger. If you happen to be around somebody who is untrustworthy, for example, and they give off no signs of being untrustworthy, which is to say that they aren't saying anything that indicates that they're untrustworthy, and they're not doing anything that indicates that they're untrustworthy, your intuition will tell you, everything seems right in this situation, but it just feels wrong. If you get that feeling, that's your intuition giving you this unspoken wisdom that knows something that your eyes can't see and that your ears can't hear. Intuition is your source of spontaneous, unexplained knowledge about what is going on inside of you, around you, and in the people that you're interacting with. Despite the value of intuition, the culture that we live in tends not to value intuition. One of the reasons why this is the case is because the knowledge that we tend to respect in the Western world is knowledge that can be validated by the scientific method. In the scientific method, no knowledge is seen as legitimate unless it can be proven, unless it can be reasoned, unless you can have a series of individuals independently verify that information through a peer review process. Unless information is vetted through the scientific method, we tend not to trust it. We tend not to see it as legitimate. As a result, we tend not to see intuition, which gives us unexplained knowledge that isn't rooted in reason or logic, but is just instead rooted in some mystical, spontaneous knowing. We tend not to respect that knowledge. Our culture also tends not to value intuition because intuition is seen as a force of feeling. It's seen as a feminine force in particular. And to the extent that our culture has contempt for emotion, it also has contempt for intuition, which is seen as nothing but feeling. For these reasons, it's hard in the culture that we live in to value intuition. However, at the end of the day, intuition is too valuable to let go of. So why is intuition valuable? We've already established that your intuition can help you identify danger in the absence of definitive signals of danger. And we've also established that your intuition can make you aware of an untrustworthy individual when they're not saying anything that indicates that they're untrustworthy or behaving in a way that shows that they're untrustworthy. But there are a few other reasons why your intuition is valuable. For one, your intuition can teach you information about who you are that you might not have access to from other people or through your own observation of your own behavior. When you turn inward and self-reflect and seek answers to questions about yourself, your life, what matters to you, where you want to go, what your purpose is, your intuition is oftentimes the source of knowledge that helps you learn about who you are. Many times when people pray or reflect and they ask the universe or God for answers to important questions that they have, the source that responds back to them is their intuition, their inner knowing. The quickest and easiest way to develop a greater relationship with yourself and to have more intimacy with yourself such that you know more things that are important to you is to turn inward and ask your intuition for help. Since your intuition always gives you answers when you look to it for solutions, your intuition is clearly valuable. Your intuition also helps you think more independently and trust the conclusions that you draw about what's going on in your life. Considering these few examples of why your intuition is valuable, it makes sense that you'd want to develop it. So, how can you develop your own intuition? The first way in which you can develop your intuition is learning how to get in touch with it. In the modern world, with noise pollution from traffic and construction, to overstimulation from there being a 24/7 news cycle that's always bombarding us with information, to the ability to go on to YouTube or Netflix or social media and constantly get an influx of really exciting information that floods your mind with dopamine, it's hard to keep away the information overload and the sensory overload that prevents you from getting into touch with your intuition. So one of the ways in which you can get into touch with your intuition is retreating to silence. Retreating to silence means getting off of social media, getting off of YouTube, getting off of Netflix, removing yourself from the 24/7 news cycle, getting out of a busy, congested city, and finding a quiet place where you can be by yourself and turn inward. When the only sounds that you hear are the sounds of silence and the sounds of your own body, your heart beating, the sound of your breath, the sound even of your eyes blinking. When you're in the sound of silence, you can hear quiet voices. Your intuition is a quiet internal voice. In order to be able to hear it, you have to either tune out the sounds around you or place yourself in a situation where the sounds around you are so quiet that the sound within you can emerge. Right now, I am at a very quiet location on a trail by a lake. Let me just show you the lake. Putting myself in a position like this makes it much easier for me to listen to my own intuition. So for you, find a quiet place, whether it's in your home or out in nature, where the sounds around you are not so blaring and loud that you can start to turn inward and focus on what your intuition has to say. The next thing that you can do to develop your intuition is to practice mindfulness. Mindfulness is a practice of focusing your attention on what's going on in the present moment. To make the practice of mindfulness a little easier to understand, what I'd like to do is go through a short and simple exercise of what mindfulness means. So right now, what I would like you to do is to pay attention to the sounds in this video. Pay attention to the sounds around me. You might hear the sound of the wind around me. You might hear the sound of pickleballs being batted around on a pickleball court about a quarter of a mile away from me. You might hear the sound of crickets in the grass. And you might hear the sound of birds in the trees. When you quiet your mind and focus on what's going on in the present moment, that is mindfulness. When it comes to practicing mindfulness of your intuition, what that means is quieting your mind to focus on what your intuition is saying in the present moment. Now, your intuition can speak to you in a variety of ways. It could speak to you in thought, it could speak to you in emotion, or it could speak to you in an impulse. When you are practicing mindfulness of your intuition, that means allowing your thoughts to pass by, allowing your emotions to move through you, and allowing yourself to feel the impulses inside of yourself. When you practice that mindfulness, that gets you closer to having a relationship with your intuition that will help you strengthen your intuition. So at this moment in time, how about you pause the video and ask yourself, what am I feeling? What am I thinking? What are my impulses directing me toward? And just be mindfully present of what you're experiencing inside yourself. That practice, even if you do it for 30 seconds, is a practice that will help you strengthen your relationship to your own intuition. The next thing that you can do to strengthen your intuition is to encourage your intuition to speak. When you encourage your intuition to speak, it has the same effect when you encourage somebody who doesn't speak often to speak. When you encourage someone who doesn't speak often to speak, what you tell them is, I value your perspective. I want to hear what you have to say. I value you. To the extent that I value your opinion, I value you as a person. When you encourage your intuition to speak, you are saying to your intuition, I value you. I value what you have to say. So if you encourage your intuition to speak just by affirming it and showing it respect by listening to it, your intuition will speak more. The force of its voice will strengthen, and you will have a stronger relationship with that intuition. The final thing that you can do to strengthen your intuition is to take the action that your intuition recommends. When you give somebody advice about what they should do in their life, and they take that advice, they take action on that advice, you feel as if your advice is valuable. Your advice is rewarded by their action. If on top of that, the action that they take from your advice leads to a result that improves their life, you feel even more rewarded by the advice that you give. And in turn, you see yourself as a person who can offer valuable advice. When you take the action that your intuition advises you to take, whether that action is avoiding a dangerous part of town, removing yourself from an unhealthy group, separating yourself from a toxic relationship, or taking some kind of action to improve your life, and you learn that that action saved you from danger, saved you from a dysfunctional group, saved you from a toxic individual, or improved your life in some measurable way, you learn that the advice your intuition has to offer is valuable. What that does is it emboldens your intuition to continue to give you feedback. It also helps you trust your intuition. When you see that your intuition gives you good advice that makes your life better and that keeps you out of harm's way, your intuition becomes a trusted advisor. It becomes a trusted guide. And when that is the case, especially when you repeatedly listen to your intuition, it becomes much easier to walk by faith. It becomes easier to live your life by the spirit inside of you rather than by what your reasoning tells you to do, what your logic tells you to do, what the opinions of other people tell you to do, and even what emotions like fear tell you to do. When you use each of these steps to strengthen your intuition, when you retreat to silence, when you practice mindfulness, when you encourage your intuition to speak, and when you reward your intuition by taking the action it encourages you to take, when you do all of this, you strengthen your intuition. Despite the fact that the culture we live in doesn't value intuition, there's tremendous value in intuition. And if you know how to strengthen your intuition, you'll live a much better life. With Solitude Speaks, this is Carwin, and I hope you have a great day.